Welcome everyone. The topic for the day is competency mapping for organizational development practitioner. So please understand we will be speaking about OD practitioner. What are the essentials, qualities and characteristics that the person should possess around it? So first and foremost, we need to understand who is an OD practitioner. Now, believe me or not, they might be both internal or external to the organization. External people would be often termed as consultant, and internal would be into your HR department who will actually assist top managers or functional departmental heads and the key decision makers there. So they will be specializing in the field of organizational development. What are the fields? The question comes, what is the field? They are reward systems, organizational design, total quality, information technology, and business strategy. So anything to do with the organization as a culture, as a ethos that needs to be changed or probably needs to be cultivated. That is what an organizational development practitioner would be doing around it. Remember, they can be both within the organization or on the outskirt of the organization. So they are basically specialist or consultant, as you would like to say about it. They assist only the top management or the key decision makers in the organization. The increasing number of managers, probably the decision makers, have to have the organizational development competency. Believe me, if they don't have those competencies, they will not be able to apply it to their work areas. The work areas I've already stated are the reward management, organizational designs, total quality, information technology, business strategy, and so on and so forth. So basically, we'll speak about the foundational competencies. First and the foremost thing is the OB or organizational behavior, which I have already stated that OD practitioner would be exclusive to the cultivating or the maintenance or improvement, enhancement of organizational culture, work design, interpersonal relations, power and politics, leadership, goal setting, conflict, and the ethos around it, the ethics that needs to be followed when doing a business. So these are integral part of the competency that the OD practitioner should be having around it. They should know how to manage the power, the politics, how to manage interpersonal relationship, probably redesign jobs at times if things are going array, and so on and so forth. The individual psychologies are of your learning theories, the motivational theories, the perception theories. Now, believe me, these are person specific recognition. Not everybody has the same acumen as far as picking up knowledge, skills is concerned. Not everybody is due motivated. Some people are, I believe, are based on theory X and theory Y. Some people are lethargic, some people are workaholic, and so on. That is the ingrained qualities of a person around there. Then we come into the group dynamics. Now, in the group dynamics, we need to understand the roles, the communication process, the decision making process, the stages of group development, and leadership around it. So these are the things that needs to be taken into account, as in when we are working in the group, as to what are the roles of each individual in a group, how does the communication take place, how do we arrive into our decisions, the development, the cohesion of the group, and the leadership thereby. So the first was organizational based, second was individually focused. Now we are basically giving time and importance to the group dynamics. So foundation competencies as far as organizational theories and management theories are all about it. I believe everybody will understand the planning, organizing, leading and control. Definitely yes, the person who are ambivalent, who are fluent in their problem solving capacities, of thinking out of the box solution, of having coming around for a win-win solution each time and every time they encounter a problem. Believe me, whenever I say a problem, it is one of the stakeholders who think that the changes that has been incorporated or the attributes that has been brought in are detrimental to them, are going to have a negative consequences to certain stakeholders. So there is a problem which keeps on arising, and as an OD practitioner, as a key decision maker, you should arrive into a conclusion quickly which should be win-win in all the cases. So this is what we talk about the problem solving and decision making. Then comes something called about system theory. Now, what is system theory? We have an open system, we have a closed system, we have an matrix based organizations, we have functional based organization. Now what kind of organization that we are talking around in, this is what is very important, and we need to understand the system to go about it, implement them. There is something called contingency theory. Yes, everything need not be within the structures, within the predicted rules and regulation, within the set procedure. We might come out with certain solution which probably do not have any precedent altogether. So that is what contingency theories is all about it. Organizational structures are changing, they are coming from a tall organizations to a flat organization that we speak about it. Now, this is what we are looking into it. This is a flat organization that which I'm drawing right now, and there is something called a tall organization that has been shown out here. So the characteristics of environment, yes, definitely. Now, what is meant by environment? Now, this is something which you need to understand. The characteristic need not be only environment as far as ecology is concerned. Probably the quality of labor that we are talking about it. When I say quality of labor, are they well educated? Do they understand or comprehend the problem that the organization is facing? If not so, the organization has to take a different part to make them understand as to what exactly is going around it. So characteristic of environment is very, very pivotal. Then comes the technology part. Yes, technology has been changing. We are probably upgrading ourselves or probably shifting to a different platform, different vertical as far as technology is concerned. And every shift, every change requires an understanding and capability to implement them. So this is what exactly has been meant by the models of organization and system. Thereby we need to understand these foundational competencies. Let us come to the research methods, the statistical competency that goes around it. Something which needs to be understood with the measures of central tendency. People, you will always find that people, there will be a cluster, as in whenever we want to implement a change, it's basically a normal curve change that comes around it. It's an early adopter and the people who do not believe in changes at all, probably the laggards around here. And the maximum is where the flow around here, this is the maximum quality that comes around it. So we have certain early adopters out here, and there are certain people who will be suspicious, or probably I will call them as a laggards to the changes around it. But the maximum people is coming around it, the measure of central tendency that we comes around. So we need to understand, predict how, as an OD practitioner, how things will flow, how things will take up a particular shape. So measure of the dispersion, as I've already shown you with the normal curve, the basic sampling theory. We need to understand whenever we have to implement new changes, a new processes, a new reward system. Problem Probably we can always have a pilot survey, right, wherein we take a small cluster from here, probably a small cluster from here, and then probably a small cluster from the laggards. So from early adopters to the majority and to the laggards that we come around it, administer those changes, let's say in terms of reward management or incentivize, and you can very well predict what is going to happen when you are administering those changes, those OD practices, OD designs altogether, organizational development and designs, that you, the intervention that you want to go around it, what will be the impact of the reaction. So basic experimental design and sample inferential statistic, this will tell me exactly, this key sample will tell me exactly how things are going to take place altogether. So comparative cultural perspective, one of the major thing that comes around it. Now we all understand people from Asia, people from Far East Asia, people from Middle East Asia, people from North Africa, people from South Africa, similarly from North America, South America. Everybody has a different attributes and attitudes towards their life. That is basically the cultural perspective that I'm trying to bring in. So we have a dimensions of cultural practices. People who are willing to take risks, and then there are people, there are communities who are averse to any form of risk. So then there is something called dimension of the industry cultures. Yes, definitely the information technology cultures, uh, businesses would be much more susceptible and much more acceptable to changes vis-a-vis a very traditional organization in terms of a retail outlet as per se. Then there is something called a system implication that comes around it. So we need to understand the research methods, the cultural perspective, and so on and so forth. Let us understand the foundational competencies. First and foremost thing, the intelligence of the OD practitioner himself or herself, as the case might be shown in this particular pic. Now, what we are talking about, the functional knowledge, if he or she is not adequately knowledgeable, if he or she doesn't possess the requisite communication skill, if he or she doesn't know how to build and bind a team together and probably think of an out of box solution, probably then things are not going to go in or his favor. So that is an OD competencies that one has to acquire to become a successful practitioner. What are they? They are basically interpersonal communication, collaboration and working together, problem solving, using new technology, conceptualizing in terms of a problem identification, in terms of a solution that can be intervened or brought in. The project management skills, as in working with a limited amount of scope, limited amount of resources, limited amount of cost, and not inadequate amount of time, and so on and so forth. And as a presenter, how good he or she is, how well how he or she can communicate and relates to the audience, as an education and the coach that we are all interested to know. So essentially, a core competencies of an OD practitioner has to be the organizational design, as to what exactly we're looking into it, organizational research, that is definitely yes, system dynamics, history of the organization, and theories and models of changes that we're looking into it. If the OD practitioner doesn't possess these requisite skills in terms of design, research, the dynamics of the system, the history of the organization, the models of changes, as in Kurt Lewin method, or there are so many models that comes around it, probably they will not be as successful. So you have to have these competencies up in your sleeves. Again, I repeat, it is the organizational design we talk about, organizational research we are interested in, system dynamic, history of the organization, and theories and models for changes that looks around it. These are vital, essential. We are looking at it and evaluating the organizational changes thereby. Definitely, yes. What are we evaluating? So remember, managing the consulting process, analysis, diagnosis, designing, facilitation, and process consultation, developing client capability, and evaluating organizational change the foremost importance. We come to the fag end of this presentation. Remember, this is the shaded work that comes around it. First is the consultant knowledge and experience, and then is the client knowledge and experiences. There has to be a complete match. If they do not match, there will be always a communication gap. If there is a communication gap, neither of them will be able to satisfy each other's queries, and so on and so forth. So what are we looking into it? What are the knowledge and experiences that needs to be taken about it? It's planning of the implementation, recommending and prescribing the proposed criteria, feedback data that goes to go around it, probes and gather data, clarifies and interpret, listens and reflect, refuse and become involved. These are things that needs to be taken forward every now and then. Every time you speak about it, you should always have it. So with this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.